Recorded at Equip HNA 2024 in Louisville, Kentucky. Here's your host, SiteOne trainer, Sean Sandink.
Hi, I'm Sean with SiteOne Landscape Supply, here with Joe Shear at the Landscape Equip Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. Joe, thanks so much for stepping in here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, where you're from, what do you do?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Again, my name's Joe. I'm with Shady Landscaping and Griswold Illumination. That's our sister company. So we also do landscaping as well as holiday lighting.
Okay.
So we do a fair amount of holiday lighting, really trying to grow that a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And so we've been doing it for several years, been doing landscaping, same thing, doing it for several years.
Where are you out of?
Out of Nashville.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I made the trek down today.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you hoping to get out of the show here?
Really get more of a hand on new products and kind of everything's always evolving in the industry. As far as like even herbicides, pesticides, even ways to apply them. And naturally, again, back to the holiday lighting is, there's always new stuff. I find that's really a growing industry. So trying to stay in the loop with that and the latest and greatest.
So how did you get into this?
Well, landscaping I've dwhen I was out of high school. Just what started as a summer job. I had no desire to do any type of green industry work at all. When you're young and dumb, you just, I just need a job.
So you just started this right in high school?
Yep.
How'd you get your first customer?
So the first customer, I always started like just working with other companies,
Right.
And I felt like at first that was just kind of hey, this is something to do, and then as I got a little bit older and got more involved with so how does this work?
Right.
So how do these plants grow? What makes them change colors? And so getting more interested in it, but always worked with other companies full of people who knew more than I did.
Gotcha.
And so as it kept growing, and it's turned into, oh, hey, I heard you do landscaping, with such and such a company.
So word of mouth.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Would you be interested in doing this little project? And it really just kind of grew from there.
So what was your first little project? Give me an example of one of those.
I mean, it's just putting in, shrubs and mulch and,
Okay.
pretty basic. But I think when you're first starting out and if you haven't ever done it before,
Right.
that's perfect. Don't take on a great big, overwhelming, huge project right out the gate.
Right.
So I find that's probably, a good way to start. And that really worked well for us.
And then you mentioned holiday lighting, but what else does Shady Landscaping do?
So we do everything pretty much on the outside scope of the home.
Construction, maintenance?
Yep, we'll do maintenance. We do a lot of trimming. Planting is really our big thing.
Plantings are good. So you deal with a lot of nursery?
Yep. Yeah.
A lot of plantings, a lot of mulch, a lot of soils?
Sure. Yeah, we do all that. And so our primary thing is when people want to either remove the landscape and then reinstall new.
Okay.
Or if it's a new build and they're just looking to install things like that. Yeah.
What about irrigation?
Irrigation, I always say that's one of our hush-hush things. It's like, if we're already here and it's, hey, can you install this or can you repair this? It's like, we can. Don't really advertise it. So it's, do we know how to do it? Yes. But it's just.
So you don't want to go to a job just to do irrigation.
Correct.
But if you're there anyways and you're planting trees and shrubs and gardens, you might as well keep them alive.
Right.
So then add on the irrigation. Or do you ever sub it out to another company? Or?
Absolutely. If it is so we had a project that we just finished up last week where it just the homeowner didn't care for anything. The grass was in poor shape. They wanted trees planted, shrubs. It was a larger project. So I subbed out the irrigation because I knew it was going to be front, back, sides, beds. It was going to be a lot. And also just time management. That's also a really important thing, is to manage, how long is this project going to take me? Do we have time to do this?
Right.
Okay, this is probably, if we do all this is going to take too much time that we don't have, so that we can get to, other projects and customers as well.
Right.
So, yeah, so we definitely, we'll sub out when things start to get to be too much.
And you do lighting?
Yeah.
The landscape lighting.
So landscape lighting is still pretty much the same. If it's one of those, hey, I just need a couple lights, then, sure, we can do that. But if it's, I want lights front, back, side, and up on the roof,
then you'll sub it out.
Then we'll sub it out.
Actually, do you have friends in the industry?
Yeah. That's the big thing. I always say I want to know people who do all the things that we don't. And that way people say, hey, do you know, and it's not even landscape related. A lot of times it's, do you know a roofer? Do you know somebody? And it's just,
Isn't that straight?
Right.
Because once you build those relationships and they know and trust you,
yeah,
they're going to know and trust the people that you
absolutely.
affiliate with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What about hardscapes?
Hardscapes, we have done a great deal of them. I find them to be again, it's a bigger time consuming. There's definitely a bigger ticket on it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a bigger time consuming project.
Right.
So it really, a lot of times anymore, I'll just put those on for winter projects.
Gotcha.
Just something to kind of get us through December, January, February. Because you can really, do hardscaping almost any time.
Have you noticed at all any growth in people asking you for artificial turf?
Some, yeah, for sure. Especially pets. If they have
Yeah.
pets. Yep.
Yeah, I'm noticing that, especially in your market there,
Sure.
that it seems to be a growing trend with folks. Do you install it?
Nope, that's another thing that we'll sub it out. We'll sub it out. Yeah.
Sub that out.
Yeah. So
Drainage.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. We can definitely do. Yeah, we do drainage work often. It definitely it certainly ties in with plants as well as hey, these 5 are all dying.
Gotcha.
It's like, okay, well, we try to diagnose what the problem is, and that's when we can discover that, okay, well, if we can fix this drainage problem,
Right.
these won't, we won't be flooding these plants.
Right.
So that's where, yeah, we can definitely help with a lot of drainage projects too.
So, what do you feel the hardest part of our industry or your work in your company? What's the most challenging parts of it?
The most challenging thing I find, honestly, is time management. And that's, I think, what gets me into the whole, okay, sub this out. No, we don't do that, is because the biggest thing I find is make your thing your thing. This is what we
I
do.
love that. Make your thing your thing.
Yeah.
Can I quote you on that?
Absolutely.
I'm going to use that.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Absolutely. Because I find that if you go to a good restaurant,
Yes.
you don't need 10 pages.
No.
All you need is one. And say, these are the 6 things that we've gotten really good at.
Yeah.
And this is what we can make really well.
Oh.
And that's where we are, is that I don't want to do 25 different things. It's like, nope, we have 4 services we offer and we're really good at them.
You don't know how many conversations I've had where when I ask folks, hey, where did it go wrong or what happened? It was usually where they went out of their lane and took on a project that wasn't them.
That's right.
Okay, I heard a really scary one recently. This company didn't do pools and they said, well, no, but you could do it, right? I guess we could. No, they could not.
You can't.
And so I love it. Make your thing your thing.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And oftentimes we get asked, well, you do landscaping, so you mow grass. I'm like, nope.
Right.
Don't mow grass. Because
So what maintenance do you do?
So like I said, we'll stick to basically like trimming shrubs. We can also do, pesticides, for insects that are chewing on the plants, disease control, things like that, fertilizing trees, shrubs, even fertilizing the lawn. Like, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to make your grass grow. You just don't want to cut it.
Right. Yeah.
I just feel like there's enough people that do that.
Sure.
And so we'll let them do it. That's fine.
Because that's their thing.
That's their thing.
Let people let their thing be their thing.
That's right.
I thought
For sure.
So what's the next 5 years look like?
So the next 5 years is going to be maintaining the landscape business as it is. I'm not really looking to overgrow or overstep. I mean, I kind of want to stay, maintained again, because I think sometimes if you try to grow too fast, that also is another key for failure. Just pushing too hard, and you don't have the support for it.
How were you able to keep up with the COVID demand?
Surprisingly, COVID was a blessing.
Really?
I couldn't.
Tell me how.
I thought for sure we were out of business. I said everybody's gonna be working from home and they're gonna do it themselves.
Right.
And I even asked one gentleman, and I told him the same thing, and he said, "No, I'm just home more, and I see it, and so it bothers me more." And he goes, "This is my office now." He goes, "And I don't like the way it looks, so let's change it."
Intriguing.
Yeah.
So your business grew.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep, it grew, and I think it also helped that people weren't going on vacations and everything that they used to spend money on, then now they weren't, and so they had extra money, and I'm like, well, let's invest it into our home.
Absolutely.
Sure. And so actually, it was great.
So how'd you come up with the name Shady Landscaping? Because no offense, it sounds a little shady.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I knew I needed a name that would stick.
Okay.
I thought if I just call it Joe's Landscaping, it's gonna go in one ear and out the other. You'll never remember it.
Yeah.
And I get people all the time that are like, that could be bad. I was like, that's fine. You remember it. I was like,
You can, though. I'll never forget it.
Right. Bad publicity is still publicity. I was like, so I was like, it's like there's nothing bad about it. I said,
No,
but it's a name.
seeing you.
Yeah.
There's nothing shady about you.
Right. Yeah. Our logo has a little pair of sunglasses on it. And so the logo feeds in with the name, and it's perfect. I love it. Yeah.
So take me to a conversation with a customer that just went sideways. What's the worst? We all have that customer,
Right?
That it just and some of us have had more than one, some of us, whatever. But what's one that you just wish that conversation never happened?
Well, it's more of an embarrassing one. That happened not too long ago. Where I was meeting with some folks. They had a whole landscape design that was already drawn out for them, and so we were looking over it, and he said. And they were an older couple. I'd say they're probably in their 80s, maybe mid 80s.
Okay.
And so they'd been in the home for a very long time, and they were sprucing everything up. And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well," he's like, we're just wanting to get everything cleaned up because I know that my kids will probably get in the house and everything."
Yep.
And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Yeah." He said, until we move to our next home." And so at 85, when you say your next home, I assume that you're all on the same page that you mean your eternal home.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So then that's what I went with. And I was like, "Oh, absolutely." I was like, "We're all heading to something better than this, right?" And he said, "No, actually, we're downsizing."
Oh.
And talk about open mouth, insert foot. I was like, I said, "Well, that's an option too." He's like, "Yes," he goes, we do plan and we are looking forward to our eternal home, but no, actually we're just downsizing." I'm like, okay. So I learned to not make assumptions no matter what. It's like, okay, lesson learned.
You're blessed, Joe. If that's the worst conversation, like that's pretty awkward, but if that's the worst conversation, nobody's have you screaming off the lawn or
No,
or
we don't.
"Oh, I can't believe I gave you all this money and this is all we got."
No, I haven't had that. I mean, we've had people that were just, where it just gets a little, a little unreasonable, I guess. But never like never the screaming off the lawn or anything. I've had, the one thing I will say that I have learned that I would advise anybody in the business to learn from my mistake.
Right.
Change orders. I have had so many people that just say, "Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, like, okay, well, we're going to upgrade. So instead of this size, we'll use this size."
Right.
Yeah, that's perfect. Sounds good. And
But you didn't write it down.
I'm on the old school mentality of a handshake is
Yep.
good. And
But
then
it's an extra $1,200.
that's the part
And
that,
they forgot that they said yes to this, and I never. Well, you didn't mention a price,
right. And that's, well, you didn't ask for one.
right?
And, you just said that, yes, let's go ahead and do it. So we went ahead and did it. And now it's like, wait, that's too much. I'm not paying that.
Right.
And we've been hung up in that a few times.
So that is words to live by.
Absolutely.
Change order, man.
Yes.
I tell you, I had conversation just a little bit ago. So whatever it takes, Joe. Whatever it takes. Whatever. I don't care. Just get it done. Okay. End of the job. It's $142,000. What? No, I'm not paying that.
Exactly.
You said whatever it takes.
That's right.
But I didn't think.
Mm-hmm.
And how awkward. Like, yeah, that's a little bit more awkward than downsizing. Like you're in for a challenge.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, it leads to an uncomfortable conversation. And I've thoroughly explained, like, this is where this is the material, this is the labor. And so I'm explaining how I didn't just pull this number out of the air.
Right.
I'm justifying it. I hear often too is that, people would say, "Oh, I got, gave this guy a deposit, never came back."
Yeah.
And also I know that I'm also writing on the name of Shady Landscape, and they're like, "Wait, this is where the Shady part comes in." Like, no. It's just the name. So, that's why I still thoroughly explain, like, this is how it all broke down, in the invoice. But yeah, still, it's, sometimes you're absolutely right. People say, "Oh yeah, just whatever. I'm fine."
Yeah.
And then when it's done, they're like, "Wait, how'd we get to this?"
I know.
Did what you asked me to do.
Right.
Now I need you to do what I'm asking you to do. And that's
where it goes south.
Right.
No,
Absolutely.
I think that's fantastic advice.
Sure.
Joe, anybody you want to give a shout out to? You one last shout out to Shady Landscaping, and you mentioned Illumination.
Yes, Griswold Illumination.
Griswold.
Is that a catchy name too?
It's sort of cool because you got the whole Clark Griswold thing going on there.
Absolutely.
You got Christmas Vacation, and you instantly have in everybody's mind
Mm-hmm.
what you could do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm sure nobody's asked you for the Griswold, but they instantly know. So you mentioned actually, you mentioned about holiday lighting and you wanted to expand that, and that was a growing market.
Yeah.
I didn't even know holiday lighting was on the landscape menu 10 years ago, and now I'm seeing more and more landscapers doing this. What's happening? What's causing this to grow?
I think what it is it's really just I think it was a small industry, and I think there are people that now we're just capitalizing on it a little bit more, and
Gotcha.
just kind of growing. Like, hey, this is really working. I know that previously I had worked at the Grand Ole Opry, and
Oh,
it was
fantastic.
over their horticulture department,
Right.
and we did obviously all the lighting there.
Yep.
And then after moving on from there, still I always had Shady Landscaping kind of going, but it just kind of kept growing. So it just this is the direction I needed to go. And then someone actually recommended that, hey, have you ever thought about doing holiday lighting? I thought, well, if I can do the
Gotcha.
Opry, I can definitely put lights on a house.
Right.
And so it's grown and grown, and we've got more houses, and then we got more commercial stuff. And actually now we've gone back, and now Griswold does the Opry.
Oh, wow. So they sub it out to you
Yeah,
to be able to.
they don't have a department that does it anymore. And so they came to me and said, hey, you've done this before, so do it again. And so that might be one place where we might go a little Griswold, because
Right. Well, for sure. Well, it is the Opry, right? Like,
for sure
there's only one.
there's only one. There's only one. Yeah, so for sure that's been one place where we probably go a little over the top. But that's obviously one of our bigger clients, but just getting more like even in the residential,
Right.
it just and the creativityness of it is that everybody has like their vision. Some people it's very simple. I just want sure lights across the top. I can handle putting some blow ups in the yard, and that's good enough.
Right.
But then there's other people that just, well, what else can we do here? And just the creative ingenuity that comes up of, well, what are you looking for? And also kind of catering to who's going to see this. Are we
Right.
catering to just you, or do you have family that comes over, grandkids?
Right.
And so you just try to put in little pops of interest for, the littles as well as the adults. And the best paycheck I ever get is when you get the kids' reaction when they send you pictures at night, when the kid goes outside and they're like, oh, my daughter loves this. And, a lot of times we'll even have surprises where, oh, I didn't tell my wife and kids we're doing this. So if you can get it done today, that, we'll turn the lights on tonight.
Right.
And they have no idea what's coming. And so they're just, that's the best part about this.
That is fantastic, Joe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I gotta ask you,
Sure.
because I hear arguments between folks that do holiday lighting all the time,
Okay.
and some folks like to sell the lights and then they charge a fee for service for putting them up and taking them down. Other folks are leasing the lights and then charging a storage component. And what's the better way to go?
I find that what works for us is that we have space to store them, and so we do that. I just feel like that's always the big headache.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if I have the lights, then I gotta go up in the attic and get them down, and then I gotta bring them out and give them to you, and then I'm reminded of a little knot here, Russ. We pull out the big ball of lights,
Yes.
and so then that's what we end up with because we left them in their hands,
Right.
And so
Instead, you keep them. You've got it labeled. You know exactly what string's going where on the
Yep.
property.
Yep.
And you, yeah,
So-
I can see that would be. I think every company's different, but
Absolutely.
you found what works for you,
yeah,
and you've kept your thing.
Sure, absolutely. And that way it's just one phone call. It's just, hey, I want my, ready to do my lights. Can you have them up by this date?
Right.
And that's it. They're done. They've done their part. Now everything else is on us. So, for us to organize everything and get everything together and, and just go do it. And I find that's easier than trying to coordinate. Well, when are you going to be home?
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to come put the lights, and then they forgot. And so that's just, it seems more of a hassle. I've talked to other landscapers that do holiday lighting. And
Right.
they've run into that issue.
Yep.
They tell people, okay, so Thursday at 2:00 we'll be there. And so you need to make sure your lights are out then. And they forgot or
Right.
something.
Or they can't find it,
Right.
or they broke it, or or pieces are missing.
Right.
They went looking for an extension cord one day, and
Yep.
oh, I think there's one in this blue bin.
Yeah, we'll just grab that one.
Yeah, we'll just grab that one. Meanwhile, now your guys are stuck on the job,
Yeah.
and especially if you dropped them off, or you got a cherry picker or a spider, some way to get up in the higher area.
Yeah.
You've got that rented.
Yep.
Like, man, there could be a lot of extra costs involved just by somebody not bringing out the box.
Right. Just I find it's the time that, you go there to anticipating to do it.
Right.
And then if, like I said, if they forgot or they're not home, then it's, well, now what do we do? So we'll move on to something else. Or if you go do one and someone says, this looks great. Can you add lights to this row of trees over here?
Right.
Well, now you've told the next person that we were going to be there at 3:00 to get their lights. And now I can't be there at 3. I'll be there at 4. Well, I can't be home at 4, So then it's just like, it's so much easier to just say, we will have your lights done on Thursday.
Perfect.
And that's all they got to worry about.
Well, if you want to see Joe's work, you can see that at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes, sir.
And in the Nashville area. Joe, I just really want to thank you for your time here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the show, and I wish you the best of luck going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of the Craft. Ensure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast so you can be the first to hear new episodes and discover previous ones. Follow SiteOne on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for the latest trends and industry updates.